Hey everyone, I'm Christina,
And I'm Brian.
and today we're going to give you a full tour of Dolores, our little home on wheels. We've been living, working, and traveling in this truck full time since 2022, and since then, this little truck has taken us to the Arctic Ocean at Tuktoyaktuk via the Dempster Highway, throughout much of eastern Canada, including the Trans-Labrador Highway. We've logged countless miles throughout Baja, Mexico, and many places in between. We're so grateful for all the adventures that this little truck has taken us on, and we can't wait to show you around. So let's jump in.
All right, let's start with the truck itself. This is Dolores, our 2003 Toyota Tundra Access Cab. In it, we've got a 3.4 liter V6, a manual 5-speed transmission, and a manual transfer case. We purchased this truck in the spring of 21 with 149,000 miles on it. And in the spring of 25, we've got 235,000 miles on it. For tires and wheels, we're running a set of Goodyear Wrangler Ultra Terrain ATs. They're 265/75 16s and mounted on steel wheels. In those wheels, we're running a set of Colby valves, which are cool because they allow us to change that valve from the outside of a wheel if we damage one while we're on the trail.
We've got a 2.5-inch lift on the front and rear. Up front, we've got Old Man Emu shocks and springs, and in the rear, we've got a fully custom leaf spring pack made by Alkian Springs in Grand Junction, Colorado, that were made specifically to accommodate the weight of everything that's in the back. We are also running a set of Old Man Emu shocks in the rear. Now let's head up front to check out the front of the truck.
Our snorkel is an eBay knockoff snorkel, originally intended for a 100 series Land Cruiser. We picked that since no one makes a truck-specific snorkel for this vehicle. Originally, we weren't going to run a snorkel, but after we crossed a deeper than expected river in Alaska, we decided it was a good idea. It also does do a really good job of keeping our airbox a lot cleaner. On the front corners of the hood, we've got some aluminum brackets that I custom made. We use those as the lower attachment point for limb risers, and we typically run those in really brushy areas to help protect the windshield from branches and that sort of stuff. Down here on the corner of a bumper, we've got a Noco shore power plug. Behind the bumper, we've got a 10,000-pound Smitty-built winch with a synthetic line. That winch is mounted to a recessed plate made by Amped Up Fabrications. On the front of that line, we've got a Factor 55 Ultra hook, and that feeds through a Factor 55 Hoss. We picked that recessed system so that we could keep our original stock bumper, which saves us a lot of weight, but also helps keep a lower profile appearance on the front of the truck. That's it for the front of the truck, so let's jump over to the driver's side.
Over here on the driver's side, we've got our WeBoost antenna. It works by amplifying any existing cell phone signal that there might be. We used to rely on this a lot more when we would work from our cell phone hotspots while on the road, but now we've got our Starlink, so it's not as much of an issue, but it is still nice to have cell phone boost while we're driving. Up top, we've got a Prinsu roof rack, and we did trim that down just slightly to better fit with our camper. On top of the Prinsu roof rack, we've got two 60-liter aluminum storage boxes made by Alubox. Inside there, we kind of keep our garage or outdoor items, and it's really nice because everything in there is going to stay dust-free and dry. Behind our Alu boxes, we've got two metal jerry cans, which allow us to carry an additional 10 gallons of fuel, bringing our combined fuel capacity up to 36 gallons and our range to roughly 500 miles, which is just really nice to have peace of mind to not worry about running out of fuel when we want to wander further and deeper in the middle of nowhere. All right, so now let's jump over to the cab. Welcome to the cab. In here you'll see we've got the old school brown trim, crank windows, manual locks, and a Bluetooth over radio system from the previous owner that's good enough that we haven't bothered to replace it. But all of our modern additions are going to be up here on the dash. Up top, we've got a Garmin dash cam that we've recently added that's really nice peace of mind, especially while we're driving through cities. Down below, we've got a Midland radio that's really nice for communicating between vehicles and also just like spotting on technical terrain. We've been using RAM mounts in the cab for a while, but we recently upgraded and added some additional ones. So now we have two MagSafe mounts for our phones. We've got a mount for the radio mic, a grab handle attachment for our GoPro, and this tablet mount that we can use for our iPad as a second monitor when we're working from the cab. Huge thank you to RAM Mount for hooking us up with all of these additions and making it easier for us to live and work from the road. We've also added a rapid charging port down here that pulls from our camper battery, which is really nice to be able to charge our devices in the cab while the truck is off. And then also while we're working from the cab, we can throw these bug screens over our windows, allowing us to have the windows down while keeping the bugs and the sun out. Now let's move to the back seat.
Let's talk about the back of the cab. You'll notice that we've pulled out the rear seats back here, and in their place, we've built this drawer system. We split it up into a couple different sections, but the big notes of it are on my side, Greta rides up top. We've got a divider that separates her from the front of a truck and keeps her safely in the back of a truck. Below her is a big drawer that spans the whole length of the truck. In this, we store some of my additional clothes and the Starlink and a few other things. Below it, in the factory storage boxes of the truck that we can access through this panel, are some of our recovery equipment, the jack, and a handful of extra things. And then behind Greta at the back of the cab is where we store our pack rafts, our paddles, our PFDs, and a handful of like our packraft related items. Probably hard to see from the camera. On both of the windows back here, I've put static cling blackout film. And the reason why we did that was to prevent sunlight from coming through and heating up the back of the cab. So hopefully we can keep Greta cooler, and also for a bit of added security so that whenever we're not around the truck, people can't look into the back of a truck and see our stuff. Those are the big things on this side of a truck. I'll let Christina show you her side.
All right, so back here on the passenger side, this is where you can see we've got access to the slide out drawer from here as well. And then up top, we've got storage for household items. This is Brian's least favorite part of the truck, but it's just we want to be able to quickly access things like sunscreen, bug spray, laundry detergent. So that's where this stuff lives. Yoga mat, backpacks, that kind of stuff. And then I also have all of my shoe storage back under here. And we also got tripods that can live here for easy access as well. Now let's jump back to the back of the truck and we'll show you the camper and our full build out. All right, so back here we've got our V2 Go Fast camper, which we had installed back in May of 2022. If you're not familiar with these campers, they are made in Montana and they're specifically designed for the vehicles that they are mounted to. GFCs offer a really strong and lightweight camper option that allows your truck to handle almost as if you didn't have a camper on it at all, which is something that we really appreciate. It's super quick and easy to set up, and we also really love how the sides open up into cabana mode so that you can grab things from the outside. Up top, we've actually got a Overland Vehicle Systems awning mounted to the outside of the camper. This is a 270 awning. One of the things that we really love the most about this awning is that it's really easy to set up for one person. So literally I just unzip it and you walk it around like a pony and then you get to the other side, attach it, and you're done. It is freestanding, but you can add legs so that it's a little bit more stable in the wind. And also the huge benefit is that one person can also put it away all by themselves.
All right, over here on the driver's side of a camper, we've mounted our Max Tracks to this side. We did that using their 17mm pins that are just simply bolted through the panels. We did that so that these are here and quickly accessible for vehicle recoveries or simply leveling the camper, but also so that when we have used them, they don't go back into our camper super gross and dirty. To support the weight of those, we've upgraded these struts to the pair that's meant to work on the back hatch with the glass window. And that's worked really well for us. On the very front of a camper, we've mounted our radio antenna. And then behind that on the corner of a camper, we have our J. Edgar drip rails. These are awesome for diverting the water coming off the roof of a camper onto the cab of a truck rather than dripping back into your back seat when that door is open. Really can't recommend them enough. And thank you, Josh, so much for sending out this latest pair. Let's walk around and show you our build out. I did this build out using 3/4-inch maple plywood. It's all stain grade. Most of the construction in this is done using pocket screws. This is actually the second build out that I've done on the back of this truck. The first one was from when we had just our normal fiberglass topper. And after getting our GFC, we continued to use that originally build out for about a year. During that process, we were taking a lot of notes about what we liked and didn't, and we incorporated a lot of that into this build. Some of the main things that we brought into it were the ability to reach things from either inside or outside of the camper. We really wanted a spot to sit on the inside of a camper within this new build. And we also really wanted the ability to sleep downstairs if it was super windy or whatever the case may be. Some other things that we brought over from that build were how we distributed weight in the back of the camper. We did the bulk of our build out on the passenger side. And the reason is that on the driver side in this sort of area sits a 26-gallon fuel tank. So kind of splitting that load on the truck was super important to us. At the bottom of this bench seat, we've got our large slide out kitchen drawer. This thing is 60 inches. We did originally order 60-inch drawer slides to use with this, but after they arrived, I was shocked at how heavy they were. So I figured out that we can use beeswax and the drawer slides beautifully on it. That helped us conserve as much space in here as we could and also keep this so much lighter. And it and also in where we've got our cutlery stored, we're using corrugated plastic sheeting to keep things organized. That stuff's super cool because it's super lightweight, it's super affordable, and is really modular. So it really allows us to fully customize how our plates stand, our bowls sit, and how our cutlery is stored. Another lesson that we learned from that previous build was how we do the tops of all this stuff. So all these tops are sitting on 3/4 inch ledgers, just the same as the previous build. But one of the things that we changed was instead of drilling all the way through for these holes, we only drilled partially through. And what that has done is it means that it prevents dog hair and dirt and dust from falling through these and landing in our food and all that. So to talk through how we've organized a lot of what's in this side of the truck, our first cabinet here is our plates, bowls, spoons, cutlery, that sort of stuff, our cups. And when we put all that stuff in there, we used that corrugated plastic to divide things to where they stand vertically. So our plates stand vertically, our bowls are standing vertically, our knives, spoons, and all that are standing vertically. In the next one is dry pantry. So that's like things like granola and nuts and quick to grab snacky kind of things. The compartment in front of that is Christina's clothes, and she's got all her stuff packed using packing cubes. Next compartment in front of that is our battery and electrical system. We'll talk quite a bit more about that here soon. And then the one furthest forward on that same section is my clothes. Starting on this side, we've got a 5-gallon propane bottle in here. We've got one of our 3 water jugs in here. We've also got a med kit. The next one forward is another dry pantry bin where we've got a lot more bulk food and that kind of stuff. We also store our camp chairs and our camp table in there. In the forwardmost cubby on this side, we've got Greta's dog food, which is in a large roll top dry bag. We do that, one, so that the critters don't get into it, and two, so that it fits that space a little bit more easily since it's kind of an awkward shape. I think that's it for this side, so let's move over to the other side.
All right, so one of the other things that we wanted to mention really quick before we move on to the driver's side of our storage is we added a pretty thick yoga mat to the tailgate of our truck. And it has been so nice because that way when you are constantly crawling in and out of the truck, you got something nice and squishy on your knees. Also, we pretty often will actually just sit on our tailgate instead of getting our camp chairs out if we're just going to be in a spot for one night. So this has been one of our favorite little additions that's super cheap. Moving over to the driver's side, we've got our Dometic water tap along with 2 additional 11-liter water containers from Dometic, which have been one of our absolute favorite additions to the truck. Just being able to have running water really easily. Also, the rechargeable tap is magnetic on the bottom, which is really nice. So it actually, we can bring it out to the outside of the truck and wash our hands on the side of the truck. We also really like having the refillable water containers instead of having like one big water tank in the truck, because that way we can easily go and refill it inside a grocery store or wherever we may be, and not need like a special hose attachment. This is actually the first build out that we've done where we have had dedicated space specifically for trash, which is so nice to not have a bag dangling here or anything like that. So in here is just like the very front of this little cubby is where all of our trash storage is. Super simple design. We just used an Amazon box and cut it to size, and then we line it with a little trash bag. But again, just so nice to have it contained and out of sight. So, and then in the next cubby down, we've got all of our bathroom storage. We actually have a really nice little canvas tote that we have where we organize all of our bathroom stuff. So it's really easy if we were to stay somewhere that's not in the truck, we can just easily pick that up and take it with us, which is really nice. And then all the way at the front of the truck is where we've got our 35-liter fridge from Dometic. It is so nice to have a fridge and not a cooler anymore. I honestly can't imagine going back to a cooler or having a vehicle that doesn't have a fridge in it ever again. And then above our fridge, we actually have our gear hammock made by Vernacular, which is really nice to be able to have all of our pillows, our spare rumple blanket, our extra fleeces, and our laundry bag. All that stuff is just like a nice place to be able to like put it and get it out of the way, and it's not sitting on top of anything else. Lastly, in the aisle, we've got our little throw pillow, which is really nice because I can actually shove more spare warmies and all that kind of stuff in there. So like I've got a down skirt in there if we happen to be in somewhere that's really cold. But yeah, that's nice. And then it also just makes it really nice when you want to sit in the aisle to work or hang out. So now let's move upstairs in the GFC and we'll show you how the Transforma floor works. All right, welcome inside. One of our favorite things about the GFC is that when we're standing inside the bed of the truck, we have so much headroom. It's really nice because if we happen to be in bad weather, we have a place where we can hang out inside and it doesn't feel like we're just in the bed of a pickup truck. So the way the Transformer floor works is that the frontmost panel is permanently fixed. So this one doesn't move, but the ones above do. So when it's time to go to bed, what we do is we pull this panel forward. It comes to about here. And then we have two square panels that fit in right here. So what's really nice is that when we're sleeping, each of us has our own square panel and we can just remove that and then slip down below to go to the bathroom or whatever it might be. We're still rocking the stock mattress from GFC. Some people say we're crazy, but honestly, we still sleep really well. We also added the Overland soft goods covers to our mattress just as a way to protect the original material, which is actually probably a good thing that we've done that because our Overland soft goods are getting a little worn. They're really great though because we can pull them off and throw them in the washing machine, which is really nice. When it comes to bedding, we're using two Kelty rectangular sleeping bags that we just zip together to turn into a double wide sleeping bag. That's really nice because Greta insists that she's human and wants to snuggle under the covers with us every night. So that way we're all able to snuggle together. And then whenever it gets cold, we can just pull out our synthetic rumple blanket and throw that on top. Whenever possible, we like to sleep with all the windows rolled up with just the mosquito screens in place. It's just really nice to be able to look out and see the stars at night and all that kind of stuff, have a little extra breeze. Up on the ceiling, we've got these three little stash bags. They're just from Amazon. Honestly, they haven't held up super well, and we probably want a little bit more robust solution for them. But it's nice to just be able to have nightside table type things in there. If it's ever too windy to keep the tent open at night, we can still sleep downstairs. The aisle is narrower than the width of our square floor panels, so these two bridge the gap, and then we can pull down the long, narrow cushion and run it long ways on the passenger bench. It's honestly a last resort option, and it's quite snug, but it's better than a totally sleepless night. Now let's jump into our solar and electrical system.
Okay, since this is our full-time home and we often spend time in these remote places, being able to have power in them is super important. So what we've done in order to achieve that is on the roof of a GFC, we have three 100-watt flexible Renogy solar panels up there. Those are all wired in parallel, and that wiring comes down and joins together in a junction box that's located on our roof rack. From that junction box, we've run a single marine duplex wire that comes behind the cab of a truck, between the bed of a truck, and then comes into the back of a build here and runs into our Goal Zero 1500X power station. Off of that power station, we've got a 12-volt system, and how we've broken that up is it comes out of the power station and goes into a Blue Sea 12-volt breaker switch. And what that does is it allows each of these circuits that are powering various things to have one breaker protection, but two, the ability to turn them off. That panel, we've got it split out between our fridge, our radio in the front of a cab, some power ports that are in the front of a cab that allow Christina or I to power a laptop up there, some power ports back here, and things like our Kingpin light, which has been such a game changer for us. We use it every single night while we're cooking dinner or when we're hanging out in the back of a camper. And we've also set up our Starlink to run off of 12 volt from that system. If you want to see more about how we did that 12 volt conversion, we'll put a link to a blog post in the description of this video. All of that is able to be run off of solar into that battery. The Yeti 1500X has a 3000 watt inverter built into it. So we can run things like our electric space heater or a hair dryer or just about any other 120 powered accessory that we would like. In the case that we aren't producing enough solar, or in the case that we're driving somewhere, the motor will power this battery system as well from the alternator via a Yeti link vehicle integration system, which is super cool. To talk a little bit about why we chose that battery, picked this one for a couple of reasons compared to going to like a big independent battery, a big independent charge controller, and so on. Is one, for its footprint. Like, this battery occupies very little space within the camper, especially for its power storage. It's roughly 150 amp hours that's in this battery. It's got the battery built into it. It's got the charge controller built into it, the inverter, all the accessories that you need as far as like USB ports, a battery management system, a display to monitor all that. We can even connect an app to it and turn things on and off for it as we go. So it's been hard to beat for this application, the space that that battery occupies. And I think overall, we've been pretty happy with that system. Maybe our only complaint is potentially we should add a fourth solar panel to the roof. We do have room and the ability to add that. And a little bit extra battery storage would be nice, but that fourth solar panel might help bridge that gap that we have every once in a while. Of course, with all of that, let's not forget, it's powering our computers and drones and camera equipment, everything. So we're able to run this whole truck off of that electrical system, everything short of the propane stove that we cook on.
So with well over 700 nights and counting in this little camper, this setup really checks all the boxes for how we like to travel. Simple, capable, and just the right size to be able to fit everywhere we want to go.
If you have any questions or want to hear more about things that we might have missed, feel free to reach out in the comments below. Or if you just want to hear more about what it's like to live full time in this. We love hearing from you guys, and we love sharing more about this. So feel free to reach out.
So if you're into adventure travel, beautiful places, and want to see more of what it's like living on the road, please consider subscribing and like this video. Thanks so much for watching, and we hope to see you out there. Bye.
Bye.
I'll try that. Let's see what that's like.
And check that out. Shouldn't have moved the camera. Well, that's committed to the end.